Okay, friends, we'll go ahead and start with the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who'd like to recite that. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. So welcome everybody to this Sunday's Dhamma talk. And so in this talk I wanted to talk about what is often termed the simile of the raft. It's a simile that the Buddha had talked about in some other suttas, as well as just the called the predicament and the escape. And so this, the predicament means the predicament that human beings find themselves in, dealing with, all the changing circumstances and dealing with all the problems and sufferings and both physical and mental, and not being able to really control things around them, but especially in their own mind, dealing with their own various emotional states or other problems that they're having with in their mental condition. Worry, fear, anxiety, and so on. And, how to sort of escape from that or to be able to overcome that. Anyway, so this is going to also cover most of the Dhamma teachings that we've been studying over the course of these last couple of months also. So anyway, just sort of, this is following like a narrative. So any person decides to go out in the countryside and take a stroll, wanting to have a good time and, wanting to, find some peace and quiet or happiness and to avoid the chaos of what is going on in their towns or cities, or even on their own mind, to try to air out their mind. So they go out to in the countryside and start taking a walk. And then after a short time, they experience a strong earthquake. And the ground is shaking and cracks are opening up in the earth, and the person gets terrified and starts running here and there, jumping over cracks in the earth. And finally the earthquake stops. And the person kind of says, wow, got through that one. and then keeps on walking. And then a great flood comes, a tsunami. And, the water's coming all around, and he runs here and there trying to get away from the flood. And then finally the waters recede, or he outruns the flood waters, and again says, got through that one. And then he carries on with his stroll, and then he goes into a forest and encounters a big forest fire. And so then he gets terrified of that and starts running and running and running to outrun the fire. And finally he outruns the fire to a place of safety. And again says, wow, got through that one. And then he keeps on walking, and then all of a sudden a big wind comes up, like a tornado or a hurricane, and uprooting trees flying around and branches breaking, and he's seeking cover, try to protect himself from these strong winds. And finally that also stops, and again got through that one. So I'm going to go back later and tell the meanings of these events, and then the person keeps on walking, goes into another stretch of forest, and then 5 bandits jump out behind the trees and rocks and start chasing that person with raised swords. And the person tries to outrun the bandits. They're trying to, rob him or even to, kill him. And he sees a village nearby, so he runs into the village hoping to find some help. And goes and knocking on the doors, and help me. And there's no one at home in the village. No one is there. It's an empty village. There's no help there. And then he sees a ghost. And the hair stands up on his head. And he runs away from the ghost. He gets scared of the ghost and runs out of the village. And then he sees a river, and he runs toward the river, and he's thinking, wow, if I can just get on the other side of the river, I'll escape all these dangers. So, and he keeps on looking over his shoulder to see who else is going to be coming after him. And then he looks on the other side, and he sees the swaying trees, and everything looks very peaceful on the other side of this broad river. So then, but he thinks, how can I get across this river? And he realizes, I can't swim. How am I going to get across the river? And he's surveying the banks. Then he spies some logs sunk in the mud down by the river bank. And then an idea springs into his mind. If I can pull these logs out of the mud and tie them together, I can make a raft. Then I can launch that raft, get on the raft, and paddle to the other side to reach a place of safety, to escape the dangers on this side. And so the person, with great effort, he pulls these 8 logs out of the mud, and they make a big sucking sound. You're pulling a log out of the mud. And he gets the 8 logs out of the mud. Then he looks around and some trees, and he sees some vines. And so he gets the vines to tie them together. So he ties the logs together with the vines and makes a raft. And so he has this faith that the raft is going to take him to the other side. So with more effort, he pulls the raft into the water and gets on and starts paddling. And as he starts paddling the raft across the river, he's paddling like this. he gets bit by some piranha fish. And so they're circling the raft trying to get at him. He can't paddle. But anyway, somehow he manages to get away from the piranha fish. And then he gets out further out in the river, and he sees some whirlpools. And he has to avoid getting pulled down into the whirlpools. So with great effort, again, he paddles. And then there's a sandbar in the middle of the river. So he doesn't want to get stuck on the sandbar. So again, he has to, try to find a spot to how to avoid the sandbar, and with more effort in paddling, he avoids the sandbar and then finally gets over to the other side, or near the other side. Then just before he would land on the other side, there are some sunken and submerged tree trunks and branches that might prevent the raft from actually making it to the other shore. So he has to scout out a place where there's a little space between these trees, submerged trees and branches. Then he finally finds a place to pull the raft up, and then he gets off of the raft, and everything is very peaceful on the other side, and there's some fruit trees, and he plucks some fruit and eats the fruit. And then he takes a little walk, and he walks up a little hill where he has a 360-degree panorama. And, he spies some branches and palm tree branches and so on, and builds himself a little hut and lives happily ever after. So this little story is kind of an analogy of how a person, is leading their life and experiences all the impermanence and suffering of, the body and mind and the world, and tries to find happiness in that world, but by and large, doesn't find it in the material world, and how they use Dhamma to find that peace and happiness within the mind. So I'm going to go back now and try to correlate those various things that we, the obstacles this person encountered on their journey, and relate them back to the Dhamma. So, the ordinary person, of course, that's, just you and everybody else, the ordinary person seeking to live their life, free from danger and live happily. Then this person, encounters the earthquake. So the earthquake and the flood, the fire and the hurricane, or the wind, these represent the four great elements of earth, fire, water, and air that this body is made up of, as well as the material world. And that's one of the subjects of meditation, is you're contemplating the four elements. So these elements are always subject to change. And the earth element, like in our body, our flesh and our bones and other things, that causes a lot of people suffering, or this physical body, right? And bones are subject to breaking, and all the organs in the body are subject to getting diseases and other types of problems. And so people encounter a lot of fear and worry just on the, dealing with this body, and it causes a lot of suffering. Even people are born from day one with so much problems, physical problems and so on, dealing with that. And then the fire element is also the water element. So all these elements, the earth, water, fire, and air, they're always subject to change. And when they get out of balance, then sickness and problems arise. So there's problems predominantly of the earth element. There's problems with the water element. If you have too much mucus, too much water element, then things get imbalanced too. Specific diseases to that, or the heat element. If you have fever and temperature, the body gets too hot, the digestion and so on imbalances. There's pains associated with that. And then the air element too. Too much air in the body in different places, it causes pains and so on. But basically it refers to the general body that gives us problems the whole life long, whether it's problems with your teeth or your eyes or your skin. Every part of the body has a certain diseases that happen to it. It causes a lot of suffering, and people sometimes feel like they're imprisoned in the body. Or if you get in an accident, you become paralyzed, or so many other things. So, in order to escape the painful feelings of the body, then people naturally they try to indulge in sensual pleasures and do other things that try to get their mind, off of the body, or not only their own body, but bodies of their friends and so on. And so anyway, this person then continues the walk and encounters the 5 bandits. And these 5 bandits represent the 5 aggregates that we've talked about so many times. The material aggregate, which is the body, of course, and then the feelings, the pleasant, painful, neutral feelings in the body, the perceptions, the way that we perceive objects, and our volitional formations, all of our desires and mental states and thoughts and dreams and the whole gamut of emotions and our wantings and desires and so on, and the consciousness, that these things are also continually changing, and they're waiting to cut our head off. So if you have intense physical pain, that's also torture, right? People have migraine headaches, or they have other physical pains. They're constantly wanting to take various pain medications, or whether it's a headache or joints, and so this aggregate of feelings, because they're tormented by these feelings within the body, but also mental feelings, mental painful feelings. So to get out of the mental painful feelings, people think, well, drink or to take drugs to get away from their mental painful feelings. And that of course creates even more problems, or different problems. And then the perceptions, and people get stuck on their perceptions, or they misperceive things that cause them a lot of problems as well. And then the mental formations, they can't control their thoughts, or they're tormented by their thoughts, their dreams, their visions, or whatever, and their desires cannot be satisfied. And you always, you have a lot of anger and resentment and resistance toward unpleasant feelings. So, they get caught in the tug of war between pleasure and painful feelings, and all the mental volitions that we do to try to, get over those, or get through those painful feelings. All the scheming and conniving and planning and worrying about how we're going to avoid these painful feelings in the future, like concern with old age, or even death. People are worrying and fearing about that, and they're stuck in their mental formations and their thoughts and their opinions and their ideas, and they get tormented by them. Or even, if they get caught in depression and even then become suicidal. So that's like, one of these bandits trying to cut your head off by not understanding these 5 aggregates. And then there's the consciousness itself. And I usually try to explain the consciousness as being the ego consciousness, the sense of it. I am the one that's hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, thinking, deciding to do this and do that. It's the consciousness that arises with the sense of I, me, or mine along with it. And there's also this I consciousness becomes bewildered or confused or overbearing, and it causes the people a lot of pain and suffering as well. So, and these aggregates are always undergoing continuous change all the time. So to escape the pain and suffering coming from the clinging to the 5 aggregates, the people runs into the village seeking help. So what is the village is a symbol of the world. People run into the cities, run to Las Vegas, run into this city, that city, movie theaters, restaurants, trying to stimulate, tantalize all of their sensory organs, trying to get some pleasure or diversion away from all these distractions. So they're listening, getting lost in the music or the movies or food or sex or so many things. So they're running into all these places in order to satisfy, to get their sensual desires. But ultimately, those indulgence and sensory desires wind up empty-handed. Okay, you might get some amusement, some titillation for a short period of time, but then when that stimulus goes away, then the mind returns to its ordinary state. So even the entertainments and lures of the cities or sensual desires, even that is not any permanent help for the person's mind. So, and they understand they can't control anything. And they're trying to satisfy various things, but ultimately, even those cannot be controlled. And so the person sees a ghost. So the ghost represents the no self. That there's no owner of this body-mind process. Even though we want things to be different, they don't change very quickly. And so it's like people understand, there's no owner or controller to anything. We can't control the world, and most people can't control their own body or their mind because it's powered and it goes along according to the laws of karma. And so at that point of despair, is when a lot of people turn to religion. So then this person, runs out of the village, realizing there's no hope anywhere. He runs down and he sees the river. And then that faith arises in his mind. If I can just get across that river, the danger's on this side, and get over to the other side where it's peaceful, then then I can finally find a peace of mind. So he goes down the river and realizes he can't swim. That means you can't swim means you don't have any wisdom. You don't have any knowledge of how to deal with the predicament of your own mind, to deal with your own greed, hatred, and delusion. or being trapped in your karmic created thoughts. You don't have the wisdom. No one has taught you how to deal with that effectively, except just taking maybe drugs and so on to keep those dark emotions kind of at bay, but that is not really any type of ultimate cure. So the seeing the river arises the faith that you can cross that river, but then you have to know how to do it. You don't know how to swim, so people looking around for religion. That's when people start looking for religion a lot of time. But in this sense, we're talking about the Dhamma. So a person sees these 8 logs in the mud, and he arises, faith arises. So these 8 logs represent the Noble Eightfold Path, the path leading to the end of suffering. And this also begins the awakening of the spiritual faculties, the 5 spiritual faculties. So the faculty of faith arises. They hear the teaching. They see a book on the Buddhist teaching on somebody's coffee table. They go and visit a friend, and there's a book there, Teachings of the Buddha. Oh, look through that. What is this? 4 Noble Truths? Eightfold Path? Wow. Okay. That sounds pretty cool. So anyway, they get some faith arises. So this person goes down and pulls those logs out. It takes a lot of effort to change your habits, right? So to change the way that you believe about the world, cultivating a right view, and changing the way you think, cultivating right thought, and the way you speak, cultivating right speech, action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, because most people are practicing the wrong of all those things. Most people have wrong view, wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action. I mean, a lot of people, right? So you can see that it's not easy to turn that around. So that's why the faith, though, knowing that it can happen, and the faith gives rise to the energy. If you don't have faith that something's going to work, of course, you're not going to expend the energy to do it. So the 5 spiritual faculties are faith, energy, and then the mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So anyway, this person pulls the logs out and then ties them together with the vines. That means, so tying them together with the vines is studying the Dhamma. So using all the various things found within the Dhamma teachings, it's able to tie all those loose ends together and see the clear, coherent picture of the Noble Eightfold Path. How the 4 Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and all the other practices of meditation, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, all sort of fit together, the factors of enlightenment. So again, with the effort, the person launches the raft in the river and starts paddling. And then he encounters the piranha fish trying to bite his fingers. So what does that signify? Well, when most people starting to practice Dhamma, they have a lot of faith, and they try to practice the precepts and sensory restraint, or they try to concentrate their mind and calm their mind, but then their mind sort of fights back with its sensual desires. And you're trying to repress your desires in the beginning. Oh, I won't do this, I won't do that. But deep down in those powerful forces of desire then come up and sort of try to attack you and come up in your meditation as the hindrances and the fetters, right? So And so you have to make the great effort, the effort to apply the antidotes to these hindrances and so on, so that you can continue making progress. And then the whirlpools are the dark emotions threatening to suck your mind down into a dark hole of whether it's, depression, despair, grief, so many types of emotions that, sort of pull people's minds down into, dark and suffering type of places. So again, with the right effort and the right mindfulness and the right understanding and applying right thoughts and so on, we try to avoid getting sucked down into those dark states by cultivating the right type of thoughts. And so to avoid those mental whirlpools. And then the sandbar in the middle of the river, that represents the I am conceit. So a person can be halfway through their practice and then encounter this, pride, spiritual practice. Oh, I'm a good Dhamma practitioner now. And look, I'm so much better than the other ones, and so on. So the person can get hung up on that vanity or pride or conceit. Also, that's called the sandbar. So you have to avoid getting stuck on that sandbar in order to continue to make progress. This is like, so even the Sotapanna can get stuck on a sandbar, and he's got to make that effort to get off of it so they can progress through the other stages of the once returning, the never returning stage. And then just before reaching the other side, the submerged branches and tree trunks just near the other shore represents the what are called anusaya, or the unconscious, those 5 higher fetters of the desire to be born in heaven realms, or the desire, the attachment to the bliss that comes out of meditation, and also subtle restlessness and ignorance, and also the subtle pride or mana. So one has to be very mindful and being able to spot those subtle fetters so that eventually one can reach the other side, which represents the nibbana, and the peacefulness of that having crossed the river or the ocean of samsara that's within one's own mind. And then one sees the fruits and enjoys the fruits. That's enjoying the fruit of the stages of, liberation, the fruit of peace and happiness and wisdom. And then, finally climbing up on the hill, getting a 360-degree panorama of everything. That means having that full, complete understanding of the world, especially the mental world, and how the mind creates the external world, and builds himself or herself a little hut and lives happily ever after. That means in that state of liberation. So this is that is how one uses the Dhamma as a raft. So the simile of the raft means that we use the practice of the Dhamma to cross the ocean of samsara. And we don't use it to gain fame or to get rich or to impress others. We may wind up teaching Dhamma and so on, but and getting known perhaps, but that's not our purpose. The purpose is to use the Dhamma to get the liberation, and then to leave that Dhamma there for others to use. That means we don't get into arguments about Dhamma. Oh, my Dhamma is better than your Dhamma, or so on, But we have our understanding, we put it out for those who want to get benefit, it's there. And if they don't, well, we know that we can't help everybody. So anyway, we use the Dhamma to cross the ocean of samsara, and we don't hold it on our head, carry it around on our head to make a heavy burden out of it. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this Dhamma talk today. And now, if any of you have any questions based on any of that, if you have anything you want to write down on the chat, doesn't look like there's anything been written down yet, but we're going to take a short break to use the restroom or take a drink of water, several minutes. So if anybody has any questions about any of those things that I've been talking about in the talk, or could be other aspects of the Dhamma, then you could write them down. Otherwise, when we come back, if there's no questions, then we'll continue on with our few stretching exercises and then our meditation practice. Okay, so take a few minutes break to write some questions or to get ready for the meditation. So just feel your feet pressing the floor. Gently close the eyes. Feel the height and the weight of the body over the feet. And begin taking some deep, slow breaths. Feel that expanding of the abdomen, the middle rib cage and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs a few seconds. And feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath. And combine these simple movements with the breathing. Okay, with the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, arch your lower spine, feel all the sensations. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. And again, in-breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back. Out breath, touch the top of the head. Third time, in breath. Hold that upward stretch longer. And release the fingers, the out breath, arms back to the sides. Relax. Just close the eyes. Try to feel the increased sensations or pulsations in your hands or fingers. If you can't feel that, feel your feet pressing the floor. Just remember the present moment of standing. Just letting go of your thoughts. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Just keep the attention focused in the body. And the next in-breath, push up on the toes and raise the arms up over the head. And stretch upwards, facing the hands toward each other, about 6 inches apart. Stretch. Out breath. Arms back to the side, heels back to the floor. Use the breathing to help lift and lower the body. In the next in-breath, lifting the body up, like blowing up the helium balloon. Stretch. Out. Once more in. Relax. Close the eyes. Try to feel the subtle pulsations, sensations, being the activated life force, cellular vibrations. Combining the deep breathing with the movements helps to generate more powerful awareness of the inner body, sensations, vibrations. To feel that is a good state of awareness, inward focused awareness. Just remember standing, standing, standing. And next we'll do side bending using one arm at a time. On the in-breath, raise your left arm up and keep your fingers and arms straight close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side as far as you comfortably can. Lay the arm on the side of the head. In-breath, lift up. Again, 2 more times, same side to the right, out-breath. Feel that stretch in the side. In. Out. In. On the out-breath, lower that arm. Next in-breath, raise the other arm. Do the same 3 times on the other side. Out-breath, bend over the left side. In. Out. In. Out. in. On the out breath, lower the arm. Just close the eyes, feel the whole body. Feel the outline of the standing body. The head balanced on top. Feel the increased heart beating, pulsations, any aches or pains or prickling sensations. In the last exercise, the head turning from right to left. On the in-breath, turn the head to the right. As far as you comfortably can, try to look over your right shoulder. Turn your eyes to the right, try to fix on a spot behind you. On the out breath, turning 180 degrees back to the left. Just concentrate into the neck vertebrae. Try to look over your left shoulder. In breath to the right. Just concentrate into the neck vertebrae. Imagine them loosening up. Out breath left. In breath right. Out breath left. On the next in breath, let the head stop in the center, relax. Just feel the whole standing body. Just feel all those subtle vibrations throughout the whole body. Just remember standing, 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 here and now, the body. Okay, now you come back to your seat. Get ready for the sitting meditation. So I'm going to turn off the video again so you can keep your attention focused within your own body and mind. Just try to sit straight, keeping the back and the head in a straight line. Try to feel that center of gravity over the hips, point where you could either tip forward or backwards. And just try to mentally feel that straight posture. Just adjust your hands when they're comfortable. They're one on top of the other, or resting on your legs. Try not to move your hands during the whole meditation period. Now, first of all, just bring your attention down to feel the weight of the body pressing the seat. And just focus where the buttocks press the seat. You feel that hardness or pressure, that earth vibration. Then feel your feet and toes. Feel some sensation in your feet or toes, where they touch the floor. And feel your fingers and hands touching. See if you can notice the outline of some different fingers, the thumb, the subtle pulsations. And relax your shoulders and feel the weight of the upper arms hanging from the shoulders. Feel the touch of the clothing against the skin of the shoulders or arms. Just feel those raw sensations, contact sensations. Now feel the head balanced on top of the neck. Try to keep the chin lifted up level, parallel to the floor. And feel your lips touching together. Where the upper lip touches the lower lip. Feel that contact and the sensation produced. The actual sensation is the material aggregate. If that sensation is a pleasant or unpleasant one, that's the feeling. Even remembering that it's your lips, the idea of your lips touching is the perception. Any thoughts about it? Mental activity. In the sense of yourself meditating, ego consciousness. All the five aggregates are all right there in that one glance of sensation. And feel your nose, any sensations on your nose. Take a couple of deep, slow breaths, see if you can feel the air element moving in and out of the earth element body. All five of those aggregates are right there within that observation of your breathing, the contact of the air, producing the sensation, material aggregate. If it's a pleasant sensation, feeling, perception, breathing. Any mental activity or thoughts about it, the sense of yourself. Feel the eyes resting in the socket and the eyelids stretched over the eyeball. So many different little sensations there. From that point behind the eyes, let the awareness expand, try to feel the outline of the whole body, the sitting body, just the general sense of the buttocks and feet underneath, hands and arms, the sides, or in the middle, the head on top. Just try to hold that kind of feeling image of the sitting posture in the mind's eye. And then take some deep, slow breaths. Try to take 3 or 4 seconds to slowly breathe in, filling up the lower, middle, and upper parts of the lung. Hold the air in the lungs for 3 or 4 seconds. Feel that subtle oxygenation of the blood. And feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath. Just take a few deep, slow breaths like that, developing this mindfulness. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Now we're We're going to try to count our breaths from 1 to 10, try to develop a better concentration. Try to continue doing the deep, slow breathing. It'll help you to stay concentrated. So with the next expanding in-breath, mentally count to 1. And feel that pause. With the contracting out breath, also count to 1. And a brief pause. And the next expanding in-breath, count 2. Contracting out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath, 5. In breath, 6. Out breath, 6. In breath, 7. Out breath, 7. In breath, 8. Out breath, 8. In breath, 9. Out breath, 9. In breath, 10. Out breath, 10. Now discontinue the counting, discontinue any controlling of the breath, letting the breathing return to its own uncontrolled rhythm, but continue to feel it. Just keep the attention focused there in the middle of the body. Feel the shorter or residual expanding and contracting sensations. Just knowing when the breath is coming in by feeling it, knowing when the breath is going out by feeling it. Feeling the whole in-breath from beginning to end, all the little sensations. The brief pause, feeling the whole out-breath from beginning to end, even though it may be very short. Just feeling the whole breath body, breathing in. Feeling the whole breath body, breathing out. One trains oneself. Try to feel those subtle friction sensations of the clothing rubbing against the skin of the belly or rib cage as it expands and contracts. It's the easiest thing to notice. Just be aware of in, sitting, out, sitting. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Start to notice how each breath is different. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. Sometimes it's an easy breath, sometimes a difficult breath. This breath body is occurring within the larger sitting body. Just try to be aware of that breath body within the sitting body. It's called mindfulness of the body in the body. Here and now. But at the same time, be alert for thoughts trying to sneak in, to steal your attention away, or any of the hindrances. Be able to identify the hindrance, sloth and torpor, aversion, desire. Restlessness, or doubt. Applying the appropriate antidote. Keep coming back to the breathing body. Connection to the present moment. This breathing body is always in the present moment. It's our mind that's always going between the past and the future, with desire, aversion, worry, restlessness, doubts, based on past and future events. Be alert for any unpleasant or painful sensations pulling at the mind, and any urges to move the body to get rid of the sensation. Just observe those unpleasant sensations, they change and vanish. Just keep the body relaxed, the mind relaxed. With each out breath, just allowing the body and mind to relax more and more into the here and now, the present moment, connected to the breathing body. Remain alert. Try to recognize the aggregates. This is material vibration. This is a feeling. This is perception, thought or emotion, desire. This is the ego consciousness. Identifying the aggregates will help detach the mind from getting lost into them. there's too many thoughts or you're feeling a little drowsy, go back to take some deep, slow breaths to recharge the blood with oxygen, get re-grounded, centered in the breathing body. Coming back to breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Cultivating the mind of a scientist. It's looking down into this breathing body with its mind, observing its sensations, thoughts, desires, aversions. Ego consciousness. How does it work? How do our habits keep strong? Contemplate the Eightfold Path. The transformation or escape from the self-created prison of karmic habits and the ego. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Balancing both concentration and mindfulness and wisdom. Calming the thought process down by developing more continuous mindfulness of breathing. When you feel that piti and sukha, pleasant sensation of the calming mind, don't get stuck on that. Use that to be alert for any approaching hindrances, or start opening up to the flow of impermanence, to contemplate impermanence. Or contemplate the dependent origination. Any other aspects of Dhamma you know about? Check and correct the posture. If the spine is slouching, lifting the chin up level to the floor. Feel that more alert state of awareness. What kind of a perception does that sound bring up in the mind? Sabbe sankhara anicchati. Sabbe sankhara dukkati. Sabbe dhamma anattati. Yanda panyaya pasati. Atta nibbindati dukkhi. Esamaggo visuddhiya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. All impermanent things, if clung to with ignorance, bring distress and suffering. And all the conditioned dhammas, as well as the unconditioned, without any owner or controller, and without any indwelling self. When one understands these three characteristics with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Okay, now let us finish this meditation again with sending out thought vibrations of metta and combining it with some deep, slow breathing. So begin taking some deep, slow breaths again. Holding in the breath for a few seconds to feel or imagine that oxygenated blood like metta going out to all the cells, tissues of the body, calming their excitement and feeling that relaxation of the out breath. Just take a few more deep, slow breaths. Just imagine sending metta to your own body, mind, nervous system. Feeling that relaxation, centeredness on the out breath. Just thinking, may I be free from attachments and greed, anger and hatred, pains and sufferings of body and mind. May I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May I continue to deepen my understanding of the Dhamma and practice of meditation to free the mind from confusion and suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. And continue to take some more deep, slow breaths, and with each out breath, just imagine sending these same metta vibrations, thoughts of friendliness, kindness, best wishes to all the living beings, especially with the long out breaths. Just imagine these vibrations going out across the fields, the countryside, to the villages, the cities, calming the minds of all the people. So with each out breath, imagine those vibrations going further and further afield across the whole country, across the continents, across the oceans, to envelop the whole earth with these expanded thought vibrations of friendliness, kindness, best wishes toward all living beings. It's with the idea that may all living beings in the whole world, wherever they might be, living near or far, weak or the strong, rich or the poor, may all living beings be well, happy, and peaceful, free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings in the 10 directions be well, peaceful, and wise. Just like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. Okay, to finish the meditation, for those who like, we can chant the word sadhu 3 times slowly with the out breath. So take a deep, slow breath. Hold the air in the lungs for a second, and then do the chanting on a loud, long out breath. Repeat it 2 more times. In breath. Sadhu. 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 And place the hands down on the knees or legs. And on the next in breath, stretch the head back and arch your lower back. Hold it a few moments. Feel the sensations. And slowly lift the head up on an in breath. And on the out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on the in breath. And on the out breath, smile. Okay.
We are smiling, Bhante. We are smiling.
That's good. So I hope you all had a peaceful meditation. It's a little bit shorter session before, but as I mentioned before, I'm going to, on these Sunday talks, not give such long talks and keep it down to about, less than 2 hours altogether. And there was no questions this time, so if you don't have any questions, then we'll meditate longer. See what more hindrances and defilements come up when you sit longer with more pain or restlessness, wondering what time is it? Learning how to observe those hindrances, relax around them. Okay, friends, I hope you're all bearing up the heat wherever you are. It's coming close to the dog days of summer, as they say. Really hot and humid in most places in